No one in the galaxy ever forgot their first battle with humans. Every race had its own stories. Some spoke of human warships that moved like shadows. Some spoke of human soldiers who never retreated. Some spoke of human commanders who never begged. But one truth was shared by all. Humans were the last species anyone wanted to fight. Commander Zorth of the Krillian fleet had heard these stories his entire life. He had been trained to fear humans, not because they were cruel, but because they were unstoppable. Humans did not fight for pride. They fought to win. And when they fought to the end. Still, today, Zorth had no choice. His fleet had been ordered to attack a human supply station near the edge of neutral space. The station was small, lightly guarded, and important for human operations. If they destroyed it, the humans would lose a major advantage in that sector. Zorth stood on the bridge of his command ship, staring at the glowing stars outside the view screen. His hands were behind his back. His posture was calm, but his mind was not. This mission feels wrong, he thought. But orders were orders. Fleet, prepare to engage, Zorth said. His voice was steady, even though his heart was not. Yes, Commander, his officers replied. The Krillian fleet moved forward. Ships spread into attack formation. Weapon systems powered up. Energy cannons glowed with dangerous light. The human station came into view. It was quiet, too quiet. No alarms, no defense ships, no warning shots. Zorth frowned. Why are they not responding? He asked. Perhaps they do not see us yet, one officer said. Or perhaps they are waiting, another replied. Zorth felt a chill. Begin attack, he ordered. Energy blasts flew through space. The first shot struck the station's outer defenses. Shields flared, then weakened. Explosions lit up the dark void. Inside the station, human personnel rushed through corridors. Sirens screamed. Warning lights flashed red. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Echoed through the halls. Human defense turrets activated. A few human ships launched from docking bays, but they were badly outnumbered. The Krillian fleet pressed the attack. Zorth watched as his ships fired again and again. The station's defenses collapsed. Sections of the station were torn apart. Fire spread. Debris floated in space. Zorth felt no joy, only a heavy weight in his chest. This is too easy, he thought. Humans never allow this. Then it happened. A sudden flash of light appeared behind the Krillian fleet. One human ship arrived. Then 2. Then 10. Then dozens. A massive human war fleet jumped out of hyperspace. Zorth's eyes widened. Human fleet detected, an officer shouted. Numbers? Zorth demanded. More than triple our force, Commander. Zorth's heart sank. He knew what this meant. Humans had arrived. Battle stations. Zorth shouted. All ships, defensive formation. The human ships spread out with perfect precision. Their movements were smooth, fast, and deadly. Their weapons powered up instantly. Without warning, the human fleet opened fire. Energy beams tore through space. Krillian ships exploded, one by one. In seconds, Zorth's fleet began to fall apart. Shields failing. Engines down. We are taking heavy damage. The bridge filled with panic. Zorth clenched his fists. Hold formation, he ordered. Return fire. But it was useless. Human weapons were stronger. Human targeting was faster. Human coordination was perfect. Zorth watched helplessly as one of his largest ships was torn in half by a single human strike. Another ship lost power and drifted helplessly into space. Another exploded in a ball of fire. The Krillian fleet was being destroyed. Zorth knew the truth. This was not a battle. This was a punishment. Commander, an officer said in a trembling voice, we cannot win. Zorth closed his eyes for a moment. He had expected this. Humans always won. Prepare to retreat, he ordered. Any ship that can move, retreat now. But even retreat was not possible. Human ships had surrounded them. There was no escape. Then the human fleet changed its formation. Zorth looked at the screen, confused. Why are they repositioning? He asked. They are separating their attack lines, one officer replied. Zorth did not understand. Then the human weapons stopped firing. The sudden silence was terrifying. No explosions, no laser beams, no destruction, only broken ships and drifting debris. Zorath stared at the screen. "Why did they stop?" he asked. No one answered. The bridge was silent. A few moments passed. Then a human transmission came through. The voice was calm, not angry, not threatening, not proud, just calm. "This is Admiral Stone of the United Human Fleet." The voice said, "Cease all hostile action immediately. Any Kryllian ship that powers down weapons will not be fired upon." Zorath felt shock. "They are offering mercy," he whispered. His officers looked at him in disbelief. "Commander, this must be a trick," one officer said. "Humans do not show mercy." Zorath thought carefully, but his fleet was broken. His ships were damaged. His crews were injured. His weapons were failing. He had no other choice. "All ships," Zorath said slowly, "powered down weapons." One by one, the Kryllian ships shut down their weapon systems. The human fleet did not fire. The silence grew heavier. Then another transmission came. "We have detected multiple damaged Kryllian ships and injured crew members," Admiral Stone said. "We are sending medical assistance." Zorath froze. "Medical assistance?" he repeated. His officers stared at him. "Humans do not heal enemies," one whispered. "This must be a trap," another said. Zorath's heart pounded. But moments later, human ships moved forward. Not warships, not attack ships, but smaller vessels. White markings, red symbols. Medical ships. They flew slowly and carefully toward the damaged Kryllian ships. Zorath felt confusion, fear, and disbelief all at once. "Why are they doing this?" he asked. No one could answer point when the human medical ships approached Zorath's own damaged command ship. A transmission came through. "This is Human Medical Unit 7. A voice said, "Your ship is heavily damaged. You have injured personnel. We request permission to dock and provide medical aid." Zorath's breath caught in his chest. This made no sense. These were humans, the same species that had just destroyed half his fleet, the same species feared across the galaxy. And now they wanted to help? "This must be a trick," one officer said again. "If we allow them to board, they will kill us." Another officer said, "But if we refuse, many of our people will die." Zorath looked at the screens. He saw injured crew members lying on the floor. He saw blood. He saw broken limbs. He saw fear in their eyes. He felt the weight of command like never before. If he refused, they would die. If he accepted, he might be betraying his people. Zorath closed his eyes. Then he made a decision. "Grant docking permission," he said quietly. The bridge went silent. The human medical ship slowly moved closer. Docking clamps engaged. Airlock sealed. The moment felt unreal. Zorath stood tall, though his legs felt weak. "Security teams, prepare," he ordered. "But do not fire unless I give command." The airlock door opened. Human medics stepped inside. They were not wearing armor. They were not holding weapons. They carried medical bags and equipment. Their faces were calm. One of them stepped forward and raised a hand slightly, a human gesture of peace. "I am Dr. Reyes," he said. "We are here to help. You're injured." Zorath stared at him. "Doctor, not soldier, not commander. Doctor, you are our enemy," Zorath said slowly. Dr. Reyes nodded. "Yes," he said. "In war we are enemies. But in medicine, everyone is a patient." Those words struck Zorath deeply. He did not know why. They sounded simple, but they felt powerful. One of Zorath's crew collapsed nearby. The crew member was bleeding badly. Dr. Reyes moved instantly. Without waiting for permission, he knelt beside the injured Kryllian. Security officers raised their weapons. Zorath raised his hand. "Stand down," he said. The doctor applied pressure to the wound. He used a medical tool to seal the injury. He injected medicine. The bleeding stopped. The Kryllian's breathing slowed and became steady. The room was silent. Zorath felt something he had not felt in many cycles. Hope. Other human medics moved through the ship. They treated burns. They repaired broken limbs. They stabilized wounded crew members. They worked quickly, calmly, and without fear. No one resisted them. No one attacked them. Even the most aggressive Krillian soldiers stood aside. They watched in disbelief. One injured Krillian asked weakly, Why are you helping us? A human medic replied simply, Because you are hurt. That was all. No speeches. No pride. No anger. Just help. Zorath felt his view of humans changing. Not slowly. Not over time. But suddenly, like a wall breaking. He had always believed humans were only warriors. Now he saw something else. They were healers. Outside, more human medical ships arrived. They docked with damaged Krillian ships. They helped everyone they could find. Even enemy commanders. Even soldiers who had fired at the moments earlier. The battlefield became something strange. Not a place of death, but a place of healing. The human warships remained on guard, but they did not fire. They protected the medical ships. They protected the wounded. They protected the enemy. Zorath could not understand this. He requested a direct channel to Admiral Stone. The screen lit up. Admiral Stone appeared. He looked calm, not angry, not proud, not cruel, just calm. Why did you stop the attack? Zorath asked. Stone replied, Because the threat was neutralized. You could have destroyed us, Zorath said. Yes, Stone answered, but destruction was not necessary. Zorath was silent. Stone continued, Our goal is not to kill. Our goal is to protect our people and stop harm. You are protecting us, Zorath said. Yes, Stone replied, but we attacked you. Yes, and you are still helping us. Yes. Zorath felt something break inside him, not in a bad way, in a freeing way. Why, he asked. Stone answered, Because life is life, and medicine does not choose sides. Those words echoed in Zorath's mind. Life is life. Medicine does not choose sides. Zorath looked around his ship. He saw human medics saving his people. He saw his crew breathing again. He saw hope where there had been death. This was the unexpected turning point. Not just in the battle, but in the war. Not just for his fleet, but for the galaxy. For the first time, Zorath did not see humans as monsters. He saw them as something far more dangerous and far more beautiful. He saw them as a species that could fight with power and heal with mercy. The battle was over, but something far greater had just begun. The battle had ended, but no one felt peace. Commander Zorath stood in the main medical bay of his ship, watching humans move through the room like quiet shadows. They spoke softly. They worked quickly. They showed no anger, only focus, only care. Zorath's ship had once been a place of command and control. Now it was a place of healing. Injured Krillian soldiers lay on medical beds. Some were unconscious. Some were awake and confused. Some were crying silently. Human medics moved among them, not with fear, not with hate, but with calm hands and steady hearts. Zorath could not stop watching them. Every story he had ever heard about humans felt wrong now. He had been taught that humans were killers who enjoyed war, that they felt no mercy, that they destroyed entire worlds without regret. But what he saw did not match those stories. He saw a human medic gently speaking to a wounded Krillian child who had been aboard the ship with her family. He saw another human carefully repairing the arm of a Krillian officer who had fired on human ships just minutes before. He saw a human soldier standing guard, not to threaten, but to protect the medical teams. Zorath felt something strange in his chest. Not fear, not anger. Confusion mixed with respect. One of his officers, First Lieutenant Corrin, approached him. Commander, Corrin said quietly, our people are asking questions. What kind of questions? Zorath asked. They want to know if this is real. Zorath understood. He felt the same way. This felt unreal. He turned and walked toward one of the medical beds. A young Krillian soldier lay there, breathing weakly. His chest was bandaged. His eyes were half open. Zorath leaned closer. Soldier, he said gently, how do you feel? The soldier looked at him, then at the human medic standing beside the bed. I feel alive, the soldier whispered. Zorath nodded. The human medic adjusted the soldier's monitor. You will recover, the medic said simply. The soldier hesitated, then asked, why are you helping me? The medic looked at him calmly. Because you are hurt. The soldier frowned. But I tried to kill you. The medic replied. You were doing your job. Right now, my job is to keep you alive. Zorth felt a deep silence fall inside him. This was not how it was supposed to work. This was not how enemies were supposed to behave. Zorth turned away and walked toward the communication room. He needed answers. He requested a private channel with Admiral Stone again. The screen activated. Commander Zorth, Stone said, how are your people? They are alive because of your medics. Zorth replied. That alone changes everything. Stone nodded. Our medics are trained to treat anyone in need, he said. But why? Zorth asked. Why train them to help enemies? Stone paused for a moment. Because one day we realized something, he said. War never ends with death. It only ends when someone chooses life. Zorth did not understand at first. Stone continued. If we only kill, we create more enemies. If we heal, we create something else. Something else. Zorth asked. Stone said quietly, hope. Zorth ended the call and leaned back in his chair. Hope. That word fell heavy and dangerous because hope could change things, and change was frightening. Across the fleet, something unexpected was happening. Human medics began requesting access to Krillian data systems. Not for weapons, not for strategy, but for medical records. They wanted to understand Krillian biology better. They wanted to improve treatment. They wanted to save more lives. Zorth allowed it. He did not know why. He just felt it was right. Soon, the medics learned how to treat Krillian wounds more effectively. Their methods improved. Survival rates increased. Even severely injured Krillian soldiers began to recover. One Krillian officer, Captain Sarek, woke up after surgery. He found a human medic sitting beside his bed. Am I alive? Sarek asked weakly. Yes, the medic replied. Did we win? Sarek asked. No, the medic said honestly. But you survived. Sarek closed his eyes. Why did you save me? He asked. The medic answered. Because your life matters. Those words struck Sarek deeply. No enemy had ever said that to him. Later, Zorth walked through the ship again. He noticed something else. Krillian soldiers were no longer aiming weapons at humans. They were no longer watching them with hate. They were watching them with curiosity, with respect. Some even tried to speak to them. Language barriers made it difficult, but gestures and simple words worked. One Krillian soldier offered water to a human medic. The medic smiled and accepted. Another Krillian asked how human medicine worked. The medic explained, slowly, simply, without fear. Zorth realized something was happening. Not just healing of bodies, but healing of minds. Then, an emergency alert sounded. Commander, an officer said, we had detected a Krillian escape pod drifting nearby. Life signs are critical. Zorth frowned. That pod was ejected during the battle. The officer continued. It likely contains wounded survivors. Zorth turned to the human medical chief. Can your team assist? He asked. Of course, the chief replied. A human rescue ship was launched immediately. It reached the escape pod. The pod was badly damaged. Air was leaking. Inside were 3 Krillian soldiers. One was unconscious. One was bleeding heavily. One was barely breathing. Human medics worked quickly. They sealed the pod. They stabilized the wounded. They transported them back to Zorth's ship. One of the rescued Krillian soldiers opened his eyes and saw a human face. He tried to scream, but he was too weak. The human medic gently placed a hand on his shoulder. You're safe? The medic said. The Krillian soldier stared. He did not believe it. You are human, he whispered. Yes, the medic replied. Why? Are you saving me? The soldier asked. The medic answered, because someone saved me once. The soldier felt tears in his eyes. Not from pain, from confusion, from gratitude. Zorth witnessed this, and he felt something inside him change. For the first time, he began to think, what if humans were not the enemy? What if humans were something else? Something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the battle began to spread, but not in the way anyone expected. Not stories of destruction, Not stories of defeat, but stories of mercy. Stories of human medics healing enemy soldiers. Stories of humans protecting wounded enemies. Stories of humans choosing life over victory. The Galactic Council received reports. At first, they did not believe them. This must be propaganda, one council member said. Humans would never help enemies, another said. But the reports kept coming. From multiple sources, from different sectors, from independent observers. One council member said quietly, "If this is true, everything changes." Back on Zortha's ship, a new problem emerged. Some Krelian officers began to argue. "This is dangerous," one said. "Humans are using kindness as a weapon." Or maybe, another replied, "they are simply kind." "That is impossible," the first officer said. "No species fights like they do and heals like this." Zorth listened silently. Then he spoke. "Perhaps that is exactly why they are dangerous," he said. "Not because they destroy, but because they change." The room went silent. Zorth continued. "They change how we think. They change how we fight. They change what we believe is possible." One officer asked, "Do you trust them, Commander?" Zorth paused. "I do not know," he said honestly, "but I trust their medics." The officer nodded. Later, Zorth visited the human medical ship, docked with his own. He walked through its halls. Everything was clean, organized, calm. Human medics moved quietly, focused on their work. They treated not only Krelian soldiers, but also injured humans. Zorth noticed something important. Humans treated their own people and Krelian people the same way. Same care, same respect, same effort. There was no difference. No special treatment. No favoritism. That fact struck Zorth deeply. He approached Dr. Reyes. "Doctor," Zorth said, "your people treat us as if we are your own." Reyes nodded. "That is because in a medical bay, we are all the same," he said. "We are all fragile. We are all trying to survive." Zorth thought about this. Fragile. Humans were fragile? That word felt strange. Humans were feared across the galaxy. But here, in the medical bay, they look human. Tired. Focused. Compassionate. Not monsters. Not gods. Just people. Zorth asked, "Do you ever fear that helping enemies will make your own people weaker?" Reyes shook his head. "No," he said. "It makes us stronger." "How?" Zorth asked. "Because strength is not only in our weapons," Reyes replied. "It is in our choices." Zorth felt something shift inside him. Choices. Humans chose to heal. They chose to protect. They chose mercy. And yet, they were still the strongest warriors in the galaxy. This did not make sense. But it felt right. Later, Zorth returned to his command bridge. He looked at the battlefield outside. Wrecked ships, drifting debris, silent space. But inside his ship, life was returning. People were waking up. People were breathing. People were surviving. All because of humans. Zorth realized something important. This was not just a battle. This was a message, not spoken with words, but with actions. Humans were showing the galaxy something new. Not just how to win wars, but how to end them. Then, another message arrived. A Krelian fleet from a nearby sector was approaching. They had received news of the battle. They were afraid. They were confused. They were preparing for conflict. Zorth knew what they would expect. They would expect destruction. They would expect revenge. They would expect humans to finish the job. But Zorth now knew something different. He contacted Admiral Stone. "A Krelian fleet is approaching," Zorth said. "They are nervous. They believe humans will attack." Stone replied calmly, "We will not." "They may not believe you," Zorth said. Stone said, "Then we will show them." Zorth did not understand. "How?" he asked. Stone answered, "By letting them see what you saw." Zorth felt a strange feeling in his chest. Hope. Again. Soon, the approaching Krelian fleet arrived at the edge of the battlefield. They saw the wreckage. They saw human warships. They prepared for combat. Weapons powered up. Then something unexpected happened. Human medical ships flew forward. Not warships. Not attack ships. Medical ships. They broadcast message. This is the United Human Medical Fleet. The voice said, "We are providing medical aid to all wounded. We request safe passage." The Krillian fleet froze. They did not know how to respond. Zorth opened a channel to the Krillian fleet commander. "Stand down," Zorth said. "They are not attacking. They are healing." The Krillian commander replied, "This must be a trick." "It is not," Zorth said. "I have seen it." There was a long silence. Then the Krillian commander asked, "Are our people alive?" Zorth answered, "Yes, because of humans." The Krillian commander did not speak for several seconds. Then he said quietly, "We will not fire." And just like that, a second battle ended before it began. Not because of fear, not because of power, but because of trust. Something unheard of in war. Zorth watched as human medical ships continued their work. He watched enemies become patients. He watched fear turn into confusion. Confusion turn into respect. Respect turn into something else. Something dangerous. Something beautiful. Hope. He knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would never be the same. And neither would he. Commander Zorth had never seen silence like this. Not the silence of space. Not the silence after battle. But the silence of waiting. Two fleets floated in open space. One was human. One was Krillian. No weapons firing. No threats. No movement. Only quiet. Between them, human medical ships moved slowly like gentle stars, traveling from one damaged vessel to another, healing, repairing, saving lives. Zorth watched from the bridge of his ship. For the first time in his career, he did not feel like a commander in war. He felt like a witness to history. Across the galaxy, news continued to spread, not as loud headlines, not as threats, but as quiet reports. Humans heal enemies. Humans protect wounded aliens. Humans choose life after victory. Many did not believe it. Some called it a lie. Some called it weakness. Some called it a trap. But the proof was visible. Ships returning home with survivors who should have died. Soldiers telling stories no one expected. Commanders admitting something they never thought they would say. Humans saved us. On Zortha's ship, the medical bays were almost full. Not just with Krillian soldiers, but also with crew members from other species who had been caught in the crossfire during the battle. Human medics treated them all. No one was refused. No one was judged. Zorth walked slowly through the medical bay. He stopped beside a bed where a small alien from another species lay unconscious. The alien had 4 arms and glowing eyes. A human medic was adjusting the monitors. "Will they survive?" Zorth asked. "Yes," the medic replied. "They were lucky we arrived when we did." Zorth nodded. Lucky. That word felt strange. War rarely allowed luck. Zorth continued walking. He saw 2 human medics working together to save a badly injured Krillian officer. He saw a human soldier holding the hand of an alien child while a medic treated her wounds. He saw something else too. Human medics were tired. Very tired. They had not rested. They had not stopped. They were working through exhaustion, not for reward, not for praise, but because people needed them. Zorth felt something tighten in his chest. He thought of his own medical teams. They were trained to treat only Krillian soldiers. They were taught to protect their own. Nothing more, nothing less. Humans were different. They treated everyone. That made them dangerous. Not in war, but in peace. Suddenly, a Krillian officer rushed onto the bridge. "Commander," the officer said urgently, "we have received a priority message from the Galactic Council." Zorth turned. "Display it," he ordered. The screen lit up. The faces of the Galactic Council members appeared. They looked nervous. They looked confused. They looked unsure. One council member spoke. "Commander Zorth," he said, "we have received reports about the battle. We need confirmation." Zorth replied, "What kind of confirmation? Is it true," the council member asked, "that humans are providing medical aid to enemy forces?" Zorth answered simply, "Yes." There was a murmur among the council members. Another member spoke. "Is it true that humans have refused to finish off your fleet, even though they had the power to do so?" "Yes," Zorth said again. Another murmur. A third council member asked, "Is it true that human medics are treating all wounded, regardless of species or allegiance?" "Yes," Zora said. Silence filled the council chamber. Finally, the first council member said, "This changes everything." Zorath nodded. "Yes," he said, "it does." The council ended the transmission, but the impact of that conversation would echo across the galaxy. Soon, more fleets arrive at the edge of the battlefield, not to fight, but to observe. Some were neutral fleets. Some were allied fleets. Some were former enemies of humans. All of them wanted to see the truth. Human medical ships continued their work. They did not stop. They did not hide. They did not change. They simply continued to heal. One neutral fleet commander sent a message to Admiral Stone. "We see your medics working," he said. "Why are you doing this?" Stone replied calmly, "Because people are hurt." "That is not an answer," the commander said. Stone replied, "It is the only answer." Zorath listened to this exchange. He realized something. Humans were not trying to prove anything. They were not trying to impress anyone. They were not trying to change the galaxy. They were simply doing what they believed was right. And that, more than anything, was changing everything. Inside the Krelian medical bay, a small moment occurred. A young Krelian soldier woke up. He had lost his leg in the battle. He looked down and saw the bandages. He began to shake. I cannot fight anymore," he whispered. A human medic sat beside him. "You can still live," the medic said. "But I am useless now," the soldier said. The medic shook his head. "You are alive," he said. "That is never useless." The soldier looked at him. "But I was a soldier," he said. "All I knew was war." The medic replied. "Then now you get to learn something new." "What?" the soldier asked. "How to live," the medic said. The soldier did not reply, but his eyes filled with tears. Zorath watched this from a distance. He felt something deep inside him shift. War had always been about strength, about power, about victory. Humans were showing something else. War could also be about restraint, about mercy, about survival. Then another message arrived. A hostile fleet was approaching from a distant sector. This fleet had a history of attacking both humans and Krelian worlds. They were known for cruelty. They were known for destruction. They were known for no mercy. The message said they had detected the large gathering of ships and were moving toward it. Zorath's officers tensed. This could become another battle, one said. Admiral Stone was informed. He responded calmly. "We will defend ourselves," he said. "But we will not change who we are." Zorath did not understand. "How can you fight and heal at the same time?" he asked. Stone replied, "Because we are both soldiers and healers." Soon, the hostile fleet arrived. They saw the wreckage. They saw the human warships. They saw the medical ships. They prepared to attack. Weapons powered up. Energy levels rose. Tension filled space. Zorath's fleet was still damaged. They could not fight effectively. Human warships moved into defensive positions. Human medical ships continued their work. They did not retreat. They did not hide. They stayed. A transmission came from the hostile fleet. "Surrender or be destroyed," their commander said. Admiral Stone replied calmly, "We are here to help the wounded. If you fire, we will defend ourselves." The hostile commander laughed. "Help," he said. "There is no help in war." Stone replied, "There's always help." The hostile fleet opened fire. Human warships responded immediately. The battle began. Energy beams crossed space. Explosions lit the darkness. Zorath watched in fear. He thought the medical ships would retreat. He thought they would be destroyed. But something unexpected happened. Human warships formed a shield around the medical ships. They positioned themselves between the attackers and the medics. They took the hits. They absorbed the damage. They protected the healers. Even while fighting, even while under attack, human medics did not stop working. They continued treating the wounded. They continued saving lives. Even as explosions shook nearby ships, one human medic looked up at a shaking ceiling and said calmly, "We're okay. Keep working." And they did. The hostile fleet was strong. But humans were stronger, not just in weapons, but in coordination, in discipline, in resolve. Slowly, the hostile fleet was pushed back. Ships were destroyed. Others were disabled. Finally, the hostile commander sent a message. "We surrender," he said. Human warships stopped firing. The hostile fleet powered down weapons. Silence returned. Once again, Zorth expected destruction. He expected revenge. He expected humans to finish the enemy. But humans did not. Instead, human medical ships moved forward. They approached the hostile fleet. They requested docking permission. They requested to help the wounded. The hostile fleet commander was confused. "You just fought us," he said. "Why are you helping us?" The human medical commander replied, "Because you are hurt." The hostile commander did not understand. "But we tried to kill you," he said. "Yes," the human replied. "And now you are injured." The hostile commander was silent. Then he said quietly, "Docking permission granted." Zorth watched this with disbelief. This had happened again. Humans were healing their enemies, even the most cruel enemies. The hostile fleet had a reputation for brutality. They had destroyed worlds. They had shown no mercy. And now humans were helping them. Zorth felt something heavy and powerful in his chest. This was no longer just about his fleet. This was no longer just about one battle. This was about a new rule of war, a new law, a new way. Across the galaxy, more observers arrived. They watched in silence. They recorded everything. They reported everything. Human medics saving lives. Human warships protecting healers. Human commanders choosing restraint. Human soldiers choosing mercy. The galaxy was listening. And the galaxy was changing. Zorth received another message from the Galactic Council. "Commander Zorth," the council said, "we have never seen anything like this." Zorth replied, "Neither have we." The council asked, "What do you believe this means?" Zorth thought for a moment. Then he said, "I believe it means the old rules of war no longer apply." The council was silent. Zorth continued, "Humans are not just warriors. They are something else." "What?" the council asked. Zorth replied, "They are a species that refuses to let war decide who deserves to live." The council did not respond, but they did not argue. Back on Zorth's ship, something quiet and powerful happened. A Krillian soldier and a human soldier sat together, not as enemies, not as allies, but as survivors. They shared water. They shared silence. They shared the same space. The Krillian soldier finally spoke. "I was taught to fear you," he said. The human soldier replied, "I was taught to fight you." The Krillian asked, "Do you still fear me?" The human replied, "No." The Krillian asked, "Do you still want to fight me?" The human replied, "No." The Krillian was silent. Then he said, "Neither do I." Zorth saw this, and he understood something. The real battle was not in space. It was in minds. And humans were winning, not with weapons, but with choices, with mercy, with healing, with restraint. This was the true power of humanity, not destruction, but transformation. Zorth looked out at the stars. He thought about the future. A future where war still existed, but where war did not decide who deserved to live. A future where enemies could become patients. A future where healing could stop battles. A future where humans were not just feared, but trusted. He knew this future would not be easy. Many would resist it. Many would fear it. Many would try to destroy it. But it had already begun, and it could not be undone. Because once you see someone save your life, it is very hard to hate them. The galaxy had always believed one thing: war solved problems. When words failed, weapons spoke. When fear grew, fire followed. That was how it had always been. Until now. Commander Zorth stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the stars. He had fought many battles. He had won some. He had lost others. But never had he witnessed a battle end like this. Not with victory, not with defeat, but with healing. Across the battlefield, human medical ships moved slowly and carefully between damaged vessels. Human warships stayed nearby, not to threaten, but to protect the healers. Enemy fleets watched. Some stayed silent. Some were confused. Some were afraid. Zorth's own fleet remained still. Not because they were powerless, but because they were unsure. They did not know how to fight something like this. Inside Zorth's ship, the medical bays were quieter now. Many wounded had stabilized. Some were already recovering. Some were sleeping peacefully. Some were speaking softly with human medics. Zorth walked through the halls. He saw a Krelian officer thanking a human doctor. He saw a human medic laughing gently with an alien child. He saw something he had never seen before. Peace in the middle of war. Then an alert sounded. "Commander!" An officer said, "We are receiving emergency signals from nearby sectors." "What kind of signals?" Zorth asked. "Distress calls," the officer replied. "Multiple ships, multiple species, many wounded." Zorth's eyes widened. "What happened?" he asked. "There was a large battle nearby between two rival alien fleets," the officer said. "The fighting ended recently. Thousands are injured. Many are dying." Zorth turned to the human medical commander. "Can you assist?" he asked. The human commander did not hesitate. "Yes," he said. "But they are not our allies," Zorth said. The human replied. "They are injured." That was all. Human medical ships changed course. They moved toward the distress signals. Human warships followed, providing protection. Zorth ordered his own damage fleet to remain behind. He watched as the human ships disappeared into hyperspace. Moments later, reports began to return. Human medics had arrived at the new battlefield. They found ships filled with wounded, ships with no power, ships with broken life support, ships drifting silently in space. And they began helping. They boarded enemy ships. They treated wounded from both sides. They stabilized critical patients. They evacuated the dying. They saved as many as they could. Once again, humans were healing enemies. Once again, war had been interrupted. Zorth could not believe what he was seeing. "This is impossible," one of his officers said. "No," Zorth replied. "This is real." Then another alert sounded. "Commander," an officer said urgently, "we are detecting a massive fleet approaching." Zorth turned sharply. "Identify the fleet," he ordered. "Unknown origin," the officer said, "but their energy signatures are extreme. This fleet is heavily armed." Zorth felt a chill. He knew what this meant. Not everyone would accept what humans were doing. Not everyone wanted war to stop working. Soon, the unknown fleet came into view. Their ships were massive. Their weapons were powerful. Their formation was aggressive. They did not send a greeting. They did not ask questions. They powered up weapons. Zorth contacted Admiral Stone. "A heavily armed fleet is approaching," Zorth said. "They do not appear friendly." Stone replied calmly. "We are aware. What will you do?" Zorth asked. Stone answered. "We will defend the wounded, even if it means war." Zorth asked. Stone replied. "Even then, the unknown fleet sent a message. This is a restricted battlefield," their commander said. "Withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Stone replied, "We are providing medical aid to wounded ships. We will not withdraw." "You are interfering in a lawful conflict," the hostile commander said. Stone replied, "There is nothing lawful about leaving people to die." The hostile commander did not respond. Instead, his fleet opened fire. Human warships reacted instantly. They formed defensive lines. They shielded the medical ships. They returned fire. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit the stars. Energy beams tore through space. Zorth watched in fear and awe. Human warships were powerful. But what shocked him more was their formation. They did not advance aggressively. They did not chase enemies. They stayed close to the medical ships. Every movement was focused on protection, not destruction. One human warship took heavy damage protecting a medical vessel. Its shields failed. Its hull was breached. It drifted dangerously. But the medical ship it was protecting survived. Human medics immediately sent rescue teams to the damaged warship. They saved their own crew. They refused to abandon anyone, even in the middle of battle. Zorth felt something heavy in his chest. Humans were not fighting to win. They were fighting to protect. That changed everything. The unknown fleet was strong, but they were not prepared for this kind of resistance. They expected fear. They expected retreat. They expected destruction. Instead, they faced something else. Resolve. The human fleet did not break. They did not run. They did not abandon the wounded. Slowly, the unknown fleet began to lose ground. Some of their ships were destroyed. Others were disabled. Finally, their commander sent a message. "We surrender," he said. Human warships stopped firing. Silence returned once again. The hostile fleet powered down weapons. The battle was over. Zorth waited. He expected the humans to finish them. He expected revenge. He expected punishment. But once again, human medical ships moved forward. They requested docking permission. They asked to help the wounded. The hostile commander was stunned. "You just defeated us," he said. "Why are you helping us?" The human medical commander replied, "Because you are injured." "But we attacked you," the hostile commander said. "Yes," the human replied. "And now you are hurt." The hostile commander was silent. Then he said quietly, "Docking permission granted." Zorth watched this in disbelief. This had happened again. Humans were changing the rules of war, not by force, but by choice. Soon, the hostile fleet's wounded were being treated. Lives were being saved. People who had been enemies moments ago were now patients. Zorth felt something shift inside him again. This was no longer just unusual. This was revolutionary. The Galactic Council sent another message. "Commander Zorth," they said, "this pattern is becoming impossible to ignore." Zorth replied, "What pattern?" The Council said, "Wherever humans fight, they heal. Wherever they heal, battles stop. Wherever battles stop, trust begins." Zorth nodded. "Yes," he said, "that is exactly what is happening." The Council asked, "Do you believe this can last?" Zorth thought carefully. "Not easily," he said. "Many will resist this. Many will fear it. Many will try to destroy it." The Council asked, "Do you believe humans will stop?" Zorth answered without hesitation. "No." The Council ended the transmission. Zorth walked through his ship again. He saw Krelian and human crew members working together to repair damaged systems. He saw human medics training Krelian medical staff. He saw something he never thought possible. Cooperation between enemies. One Krelian medic approached Zorth. "Commander," she said, "human medics are teaching us new treatment methods." Zorth nodded. "Are they helping?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "Our survival rates are improving." Zorth felt something close to pride. Not pride in victory, but pride in survival. Later, Zorth spoke privately with Dr. Reyes. "Doctor," Zorth said, "do you understand what your people are doing at Galaxy?" Reyes thought for a moment. "We are saving lives," he said. "That is not what I mean," Zorth said. "You are changing how wars are fought. You are changing what enemies expect." Reyes nodded. "We know," he said. "Are you not afraid?" Zorth asked, "This makes you vulnerable." Reyes smiled softly. "Every life we save is a risk," he said. "But every life we save is also a chance." "A chance for what?" Zorth asked. Reyes replied, "A chance of the next battle not to happen." Zorth was silent. That idea felt powerful, and dangerous, and beautiful. Later that day, Zorth received another message. A small alien colony world had been attacked by raiders. The raiders had destroyed infrastructure and left many wounded. The attackers had already fled. Zorth forwarded the message to Admiral Stone. "Will you assist?" Zorth asked. Stone replied, "Yes, but they are not part of this war," Zorth said. Stone replied, "They are hurt." Again, the same answer. Human medical ships departed immediately. They traveled to the damaged colony world. They set up emergency hospitals. They treated children, elders, civilians. They helped rebuild basic systems. They stayed longer than expected. They did not leave when the mission was complete. They stayed until the people were safe. Zorth watched reports. He saw human medics working in destroyed cities. He saw them carrying injured civilians. He saw them comforting families. He saw them rebuilding. This was no longer about war. This was about something else. Something deeper. Humans were not just warriors. They were guardians. not of territory, but of life. The galaxy had never seen this before. Most species fought for power. Humans fought for protection. Most species ended battles with destruction. Humans ended battles with healing. Most species feared enemies. Humans treated them. Zorath felt something heavy in his chest. He realized something important. The galaxy had spent centuries perfecting war. Humans were perfecting something else. The end of war, not by force, but by refusing to let war decide who deserved to live. Zorath looked out at the stars. He thought about the future. A future where wars still happened, but where wars did not have the final word. A future where enemies could become patients. A future where healing could stop destruction. A future where fear was replaced with trust. A future where war stopped working. Not because weapons failed, but because mercy succeeded. And at the center of it all, humans, not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as healers. And for the first time in his life, Commander Zorath felt something new. Not fear of humans, not hatred, not even confusion. He felt gratitude and hope. Hope is powerful, but hope also creates fear, and fear creates resistance. Commander Zorath had learned this lesson quickly. Across the galaxy, not everyone welcomed what humans were doing. Many leaders felt threatened, not by human weapons, but by human choices. War had always been simple. Win or lose. Destroy or be destroyed. Enemy or ally. Humans were breaking these rules, and not everyone liked it. On Zorath's bridge, a warning alert sounded. Commander, an officer said, we are receiving multiple hostile signals from different sectors. Zorath turned sharply. What kind of signals? He asked. Political and military, the officer replied. Several powerful alliances are forming. Zorath felt a chill. Alliances against who? He asked. The officer hesitated. Against humans. Zorath closed his eyes briefly. He had expected this. Change always created fear. Fear always created enemies. Soon, a transmission arrived from the Galactic Security Coalition, a powerful group of worlds that control many key trade routes and military zones. Their leader appeared on screen. Commander Zorath, she said, we need to discuss the human situation. Zorath replied, what situation? Their interference in active conflicts, she said. Their medical intervention in wars that are not theirs. Their influence over enemy populations. Zorath said calmly, they are saving lives. The coalition leader replied, they are changing power structures. Zorath asked, is that a crime? The leader said, it is a threat. Zorath felt anger rise inside him. A threat to who? He asked. To those who depend on war, she replied. Zorath ended the transmission. He leaned back in his chair. He knew this was only the beginning. Soon, Admiral Stone contacted him. Commander Zorath, Stone said, we have detected coordinated fleet movements. Against you, Zorath said. Yes, Stone replied. What will you do? Zorath asked. Stone answered, we will continue to help the wounded. Zorath felt both admiration and fear. You understand this may lead to full-scale war, Zorath said. Stone replied, we understand. Are you ready for that? Zorath asked. Stone answered, we are always ready to protect life. That answer stayed with Zorath. Protect life. Not win wars. Not gain power. Protect life. Soon, a massive Alliance fleet gathered at the edge of human-controlled space. They did not attack immediately. They sent a message. Withdraw your medical fleets from active war zones, the Alliance commander said, or face consequences. Admiral Stone replied calmly, we will not withdraw. You are interfering in sovereign conflicts, the Alliance commander said. Stone replied, we are stopping unnecessary deaths. The Alliance commander said, death is part of war. Stone replied, not if we choose otherwise. There was a long silence. Then the Alliance fleet opened fire. Human warships responded instantly. The largest battle the galaxy had seen in centuries began. Energy beams filled space. Ships exploded. Debris scattered. But something was different. Human medical ships did not retreat. They stayed behind the battle lines. They continued treating the wounded. Human warships formed protective shields around them. Zorth watched from a distance. He had never seen anything like this. A fleet fighting, not to advance, but to protect. Human formations were defensive. They did not chase enemy ships. They did not try to destroy entire fleets. They focused on holding space around the medical ships. Enemy fleets tried to break through. They failed. Time passed. The battle was long. Losses were heavy on both sides. But the Alliance fleet began to weaken. Not because humans were stronger, but because humans were more organized, more disciplined, more focused. Finally, the Alliance commander sent a message. "Cease fire," she said. "This battle is pointless." Stone replied, "Agreed." Weapons powered down. Silence returned. The battlefield was filled with damaged ships. Thousands were wounded. Many were dying. Human medical ships moved forward. They requested permission to assist. The Alliance commander hesitated. "These are your enemies," she said. Stone replied, "They're injured." The Alliance commander was silent. Then she said quietly, "Docking permission granted." Zorth felt his breath catch. Even now, even after a massive battle, humans were healing their enemies. Again, across the battlefield, human medics boarded damaged Alliance ships. They treated wounded soldiers. They stabilized critical patients. They saved lives. Alliance officers watched in shock. One Alliance captain said, "They are helping us after we attacked them." Another said, "This makes no sense." Another whispered, "This changes everything." Zorth watched from his bridge. He felt something powerful. Not victory, not defeat, transformation. Later, the Alliance commander requested a private meeting with Admiral Stone and Commander Zorth. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station. The Alliance commander looked tired. She looked confused. She looked shaken. "You could have destroyed us," she said. "Why didn't you?" Stone replied, "Because destruction was not necessary." "But you lost ships," she said. "Yes," Stone replied. "You lost people," she said. "Yes," Stone replied. "And you are still helping us," she said. "Yes," Stone replied. The Alliance commander looked at Zorth. "Is this true?" she asked. Zorth nodded. "I have seen it myself," he said. "Humans do not abandon the wounded." The Alliance commander was silent. Then she said quietly, "This makes you dangerous." Stone smiled slightly. "We are already dangerous," he said. "We are just choosing not to be cruel." The Alliance commander leaned back. "You are breaking the rules of war," she said. Stone replied, "We are writing new ones." Zorth felt a deep sense of awe. New rules. The Alliance commander asked, "What do you want?" Stone replied, "A galaxy where fewer people die." The Alliance commander asked, "At what cost?" Stone replied, "Whatever cost it takes to save lives." The Alliance commander did not reply, but something had changed in her eyes. Later, Zorth walked through the human medical bays again. He saw Alliance soldiers lying beside Krillian soldiers. He saw humans treating both equally. He saw former enemies sharing space, water, and silence. He saw something that had never existed before. A mixed medical bay, not separated by species, not separated by allegiance, not separated by war. Just people, patients, survivors. One Alliance soldier spoke to a Krillian soldier. "I was told to hate you," the Alliance soldier said. The Krillian replied, "So was I." The Alliance soldier asked, "Do you still hate me?" The Krillian shook his head. "No," he said, "not after you were saved." The Alliance soldier nodded. "Neither do I," he said. Zorth saw this and felt hope rise again. But hope always faced danger. Soon, another message arrived. A powerful empire had declared humans a threat to galactic stability. They accused humans of interfering in sovereign wars, disrupting power balances, weakening traditional alliances, creating dependency through medical aid. They demanded immediate withdrawal of all human medical fleets from active war zones. Admiral Stone refused. The Empire mobilized its fleets. Zorth felt fear. This empire was one of the strongest in the galaxy. If they attacked, the conflict could spread everywhere. Zorth contacted Admiral Stone. This could become a galactic war, Zora said. Stone replied, "We know." "Will you stop?" Zorth asked. Stone replied, "No." Zorth felt his heart tighten. "Why?" he asked. Stone replied, "Because stopping would mean choosing power over people." Zorth was silent. He understood. Stone continued, "If we stop helping the wounded because it is dangerous, then we become no different from everyone else." Zorth nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. Soon, the Empire's fleet arrived. They did not send a message. They did not negotiate. They attacked immediately. This battle was unlike any before. The Empire's weapons were powerful. Their ships were massive. Their formations were aggressive. Human warships responded. But this time, the fighting was harder. Human ships were pushed back. Shields failed. Losses increased. Medical ships came under threat. Human warships formed tighter defensive circles. They took heavy damage protecting the medics. Zorth watched in fear. "Are they going to retreat?" one officer asked. "No," Zorth said quietly. "They won't." And they didn't. Even as ships burned, even as crews were lost, human medics continued working. They treated wounded humans. They treated wounded enemies. They treated anyone they could reach. One medical ship was badly damaged. It lost power. It began drifting. An enemy ship prepared to destroy it. Human warships rushed forward. They placed themselves between the enemy and the medical ship. They took the fire. They protected the healers. The medical ship survived. Zor felt tears in his eyes. He had never seen such commitment, not to victory, but to life. The battle continued. Losses mounted. But something unexpected happened. Empire ships began hesitating. They saw humans protecting medical ships instead of attacking. They saw humans saving wounded enemies. They saw humans choosing mercy in the middle of destruction. Empire crews began questioning orders. Some ships stopped firing. Some ships powered down weapons. Some ships retreated. The Empire's commander sent a message. "This is madness," he said. "You are fighting differently." Stone replied, "We are fighting for something different." "What?" the commander asked. Stone replied, "Life." The Empire commander was silent. Then he said quietly, "Cease fire." The battle stopped. Once again, not because one side was destroyed, but because one side refused to destroy. Human medical ships moved forward. They asked to assist. The Empire commander hesitated. Then he said, "Docking permission granted." Zorth felt something powerful. This had happened again. Against a powerful empire. Against strong resistance. Against deep fear. Humans had not changed. They had not stopped. They had not broken. They had continued to heal. And that had stopped a war. The galaxy was pushing back. But humans were pushing forward. Not with weapons. But with mercy. Not with power. But with purpose. Not with fear. But with life. Zorth realized something. The real battle was not between fleets. It was between two ideas. One idea said, war decides everything. The other said, life matters more than war. And for the first time in galactic history, the second idea was winning, not by force, but by refusal. Refusal to abandon the wounded. Refusal to hate. Refusal to stop helping. Zorth looked at the stars. He thought of the future. A future where war still existed, but where war was no longer the final answer. A future where mercy could stop fleets. A future where healing could defeat hatred. A future where humans were not feared, but followed, and that scared the galaxy. But it also saved it. The galaxy stood at crossroads. For the first time in history, war was no longer the only answer. For the first time, mercy had power. For the first time, healing was stronger than fear. Commander Zor stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out into space. The stars looked the same as always, but everything else felt different. The great empires had stopped fighting, not because they were weak, not because they were defeated, but because they were confused. Confused by humans, confused by mercy, confused by a species that refused to act the way war demanded. Human medical fleets were now known across the galaxy, not as tools, not as tricks, but as a new force, a force of life. Wherever they went, battles slowed. Wherever they stayed, hatred weakened. Wherever they worked, hope grew. The Galactic Council could no longer ignore what was happening. They called for an emergency summit. Every major power was invited. Every major species was present. Humans were invited too. This had never happened before. Usually, humans were feared. Now they were needed. The summit took place on a neutral world. A world with no weapons. A world with no armies. Only diplomats. Only leaders. Only people. Commander Zorth attended as a witness. He stood beside Admiral Stone and Dr. Reyes. They were calm. Not proud. Not defensive. Just calm. The council chamber was filled with tension. Leaders whispered. Allies sat beside enemies. Old rivals sat in silence. No one knew how to begin. Finally, the council speaker stood. "We are here," the speaker said, "because the rules of war have changed." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The speaker continued, "Not because weapons have changed, not because fleets have changed, but because one species chose a different path." All eyes turned to the humans. Admiral Stone did not speak. Dr. Reyes did not speak. They simply stood. The speaker turned to them. "Why?" the speaker asked. Admiral Stone stepped forward. "We did not set out to change the galaxy," he said. "We set out to save lives." The speaker asked, "Even enemy lives?" Stone replied, "Especially enemy lives." The room fell silent. A powerful empire leader stood. "You have weakened our control," he said. "You have interfered in our wars." Stone replied calmly, "We have reduced deaths." The leader said, "War is necessary." Stone replied, "Death is not." Another leader stood. "You have confused our soldiers," she said. "They hesitate now." Stone replied, "They hesitate because they see another choice." A third leader stood. "You have made mercy powerful," he said. "That is dangerous." Stone replied, "So is cruelty." The room filled with tension. Commander Zorth watched carefully. He saw fear. Not fear humans, but fear of change. Then a quiet voice spoke. It belonged to the commander of the hostile fleet that had surrendered earlier. "I was there," he said. "I attacked the humans. They defeated us. Then they saved us." The room turned toward him. He continued, "I expected destruction. I expected revenge. Instead, I received treatment." Another voice spoke, a Kryllian officer. "I was there too," she said. "Humans saved my crew after we attacked them." Another voice spoke, an Alliance soldier. "They healed my people after we fired on them." Another voice, an Empire captain. "They protected our wounded even while we fought." One by one, voices filled the chamber. Stories, not of battles, but of healing, not of victory, but of survival, not of fear, but of gratitude. The room grew quiet. The speaker looked at the humans. "You have changed how war is seen," the speaker said. "But can you change what war is?" Stone thought for a moment. Then he said, "We can change what we choose to do in war." The speaker asked, "How?" Stone replied, "By refusing to let war decide who deserves to live." The speaker was silent. Then Dr. Reyes stepped forward. "War will not disappear," Reyes said. "People will still fight. Fear will still exist. Anger will still rise." He paused. "But what we do after the fighting, that is a choice." The speaker asked, "What choice?" Reyes replied, "We can choose to let the wounded die, or we can choose to save them." The speaker asked, "And you believe saving them will stop wars?" Reyes replied, "No, but it will stop hatred from growing." The speaker looked at the chamber. "Is this what you want?" The speaker asked. "A galaxy where enemies are healed." Silence. Then a voice spoke. A small leader from a minor world. "Yes," she said. "My world was destroyed in a war. Humans came. They saved my people. They rebuilt our hospitals. They stayed when no one else did." Another voice spoke. "My brother was wounded in a battle. Humans treated him. He survived." Another. "My people were enemies of humans. Now we trade with them." Another. "My soldiers hesitate to kill now. They hesitate because they remember being healed." The speaker closed his eyes. He understood. The galaxy was already changing, whether they wanted it to or not. Then something unexpected happened. A representative from the most powerful empire stood. The same empire that had attacked humans. The same empire that had called them a threat. The leader spoke slowly. We have fought humans. We have lost ships. We have lost people. And we have been healed by them. The chamber was silent. The leader continued. We do not understand them, but we cannot deny what we have seen. He looked directly at Admiral Stone. You are dangerous, he said. Stone nodded. Yes, he said. We are. The leader continued, but not in the way we feared. Stone did not respond. The leader turned to the chamber. We can fight this change, he said. We can resist it. We can try to destroy it. He paused. Or we can accept it. The chamber was silent. The leader continued. I choose to accept it. Gasps filled the room. The speaker asked, What are you proposing? The leader replied, A new law of war. The speaker asked, What law? The leader said, That medical fleets are neutral. That medics may not be targeted. That wounded enemies must be allowed to receive treatment. Murmurs spread. Some leaders looked shocked. Some looked uncertain. Some looked relieved. The speaker turned to Admiral Stone. Is this what you want? The speaker asked. Stone replied, We want fewer people die. The speaker turned to the chamber. All in favor of recognizing medical fleets as neutral and protected under Galactic law? He asked. Hands rose. Not all, but many. Enough. The speaker nodded. The motion passes, he said. Commander Zorth felt his heart race. This was it. This was the moment. The galaxy had chosen life. Not completely. Not perfectly. But enough. The speaker continued. From this day forward, attacking medical fleets will be considered a crime against the galaxy. The room fell silent. The speaker continued. This law will not stop war, but it will limit its cruelty. Zorth felt tears in his eyes, not from sadness, but from hope. After the summit, Zorth walked with Admiral Stone and Dr. Reyes. Do you believe this will work? Zorth asked. Stone replied, Not always. Reyes replied, Not perfectly. Stone added, But it is a start. Zorth nodded. Yes, he said. It is. Later, Zorth returned to his ship. He stood alone on the bridge. He looked at the stars. He thought about everything that had happened. He thought about the first battle, the first medical ship, the first enemy healed, the first surrender, the first law. He realized something important. Humans had not won a war. They had changed one, not with weapons, not with fear, but with mercy. Across the galaxy, changes began. Medical fleets from many species were created. Human medics trained alien medics. New hospitals were built. New treaties were signed. Battles still happened. But now, something always followed. Healing. Enemies became patients. Hatred weakened. Trust grew. On one distant battlefield, two rival fleets fought. The battle was short. When it ended, medical ships from both sides moved forward. They treated the wounded. They saved lives. They shared supplies. They spoke. They stopped. The war did not continue. On another world, a rebellion ended not with destruction, but with negotiation, after human medics saved civilians from both sides. On another world, pirates surrendered, not because they were outgunned, but because they knew humans would treat them fairly. The galaxy was changing. Slowly. Not perfectly. But surely. Zorth received a message from a young Krillian soldier. The same soldier who had lost his leg. Commander, the message said, I am learning medicine from the humans. Zorth smiled. He replied, I am proud of you. The soldier responded, They saved my life. Now I want to save others. Zorth felt something warm in his chest. Later, Zorth spoke again with Dr. Reyes. Doctor, Zorth said, do you ever regret this? Choosing mercy in a galaxy that loves war? Reyes thought for a moment. No, he said. I regret only the lives we could not save. Zorth nodded. That is a good regret, he said. Reyes smiled softly. Yes, he said. It is. Years later, historians would write about this time. They would not call it the end of war. They would call it something else. They would call it the turning point. The moment when the galaxy learned that strength could protect, that power could heal, that enemies could survive, that war could be limited, that life could matter. Commander Zorith would often look back on that first battle, the moment when he allowed a human medical ship to dock, the moment when he chose life over fear. He would realize something. The most important decision in war is not when to fight. It is when to stop. And humans had taught the galaxy how. Not with orders, not with force, but with mercy. And that was their true power.